Hey everyone, this is Ethan. Welcome to my first YouTube video. I don't know how often I'll be posting on here, but I figured that since I already had the sketchbook done and complete, I'd do a sketchbook tour. I suppose we should just jump right into it. Let's look at the first page. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this one is obviously an assignment for my class Art 110. That's actually why I got the sketchbook. I've always wanted moleskine, and I was really excited to see on the syllabus that it was required for the class. The first assignment was to make a title page for our sketchbook, and we had to pick a motif, and we went to the library and picked up books, and I picked sort of like an Aztec, Central American, Native American theme. So this is how it turned out. I did this later. I think I liked how this turned out more because it's more bold than some of this. It's kind of shaky. Okay. So both of these are also assignments. This one was in class. Actually, both of these. I think there's a couple in class ones on the next few pages. This assignment was to just draw a continuous line. So that's how that turned out. And then this one is blind contour. So this is another blind contour, and this is cross contour, so the lines are supposed to show the shape of the object in three-dimensional space. I don't particularly like any of these. I didn't really like most of my signed work. So this one I did on my own, the bread. I bought bread at my Commons to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for lunch because some of my classes were far away from my dorm, and I needed to pack lunch because I couldn't go back and get food and then be in time for my next class. So I just drew the bread when I went and bought it at the Commons. And then this here is another one of my own. I'll zoom in a bit. This is a building nearby where I lived on campus. I'm pretty proud of it, pretty happy with it. I think for the most part I got the architecture right, but architecture drawing can be really hard because it's difficult to get the scale right, I find. Okay. So, oh, here's another landscape. So this one, early in the first semester, I went with a group to a nearby, I guess, lake. A lot of people were swimming that day. I didn't swim, but this is that's the like a paddle boat, and then there's just trees in the background and the water. So that was fun. And this right here, I'm sure you can guess, is another assignment. This one was to listen to music for a half hour and just draw as we listened to music, draw how we felt the music. I don't know. Draw how the music made us feel. That's what we were supposed to do. Okay, so, here, this was an assignment, but I actually really liked the way this turned out. So, the assignment was to draw a piece of fruit and then to draw it again after taking a bite out of it. And I always have to take things in like a weird direction. So, obviously, this is just a whole banana. And then this is just a whole banana. And then when I took the bite out of it, instead of peeling it, I just bit through the peel. I actually did bite through the peel. I don't know. It's kind of silly, but I really don't know. It's kind of odd. Okay, zoom back out. So this right here, the teacher is having us learn how to shade. So just go from the lightest possible to the darkest possible with one pencil, and then shade a sphere. So it's pretty uninteresting. This I did in my free time. I wanted to do. Basically, in here is just a lot of things from Japan. Basically, all of these are from different artists. This one's from the polka dots are from Yayoi Kusama. She's a Japanese artist. This is from there's a exhibition somewhere. I think it was in Japan where the floor was covered in sunflower seeds, and then they had to change it out because so many people were walking on it. You're allowed to walk on the exhibit because so many people were walking on it. The sunflower seeds became like powdery and it was dangerous to breathe. So obviously, like sushi, Pikachu. This says Japan. So okay, so I kind of hate this page. It was just we were supposed to draw daily, and I didn't have inspiration daily, obviously, so some of the days were pretty bad, in my opinion. I still don't really like it. A lot of the pages that I drew that I ended up not liking, I ended up covering up. But for some reason, I just decided to keep this one. Okay. So this is another assignment. I like the way this one turned out. This is a perspective drawing of my dorm room. So I was sitting on my bed here, and it was actually pretty fun to do. Drawing in perspective is pretty interesting. It's difficult, but it's kind of rewarding if you get it right. Again, I don't particularly love either of these ones. I feel like I was just filling the sketchbook at this point. Okay, so this is another assignment, and I actually enjoyed this one. Our assignment was to get newspapers and to make these little square designs by taking tape and lifting the ink off the newspaper. This one right here is a football player, and it says sports. So the sports was actually written in a line, but I obviously couldn't fit the whole thing, so I took the first half of sports and the second half and just put it underneath. This article was about the death of a woman in the community, and I overlaid the title of the article with her face. I actually found out later that she went to the church that I started going to in the college town, so it's kind of interesting. This one's kind of weird. If you can see, this right here is a squirrel's head, and that's Gollum from Lord of the Rings. I was kind of running out of ideas. This one says the Met. I think that's it. I think it just says the Met. This was from an article about skyscrapers in New York. I forget. I think that might be the Empire State Building, but I'm not sure. And then this one is, it obviously says New York Times at the bottom. I think this, the picture of this guy's eyeball was from a picture of an astronaut. And he was like looking out, and that's like the sun reflecting in his eye. It looks really cool. This was from, I had a wallpaper project in the same class that most of this art is from, and I started doing this one, but she actually gave us different instructions on how to do the second set. We were supposed to make 2 different wallpaper designs, and I had already finished the first one and was moving on to the second one, but she wanted us to try something else different for the second one, so I ended up not keeping this, but I liked this design enough, so I cut it out and then pasted it in my sketchbook. This is a dude being eaten by a Venus flytrap. This is a tree in the, I think it's an arboretum across the street from my dorm. I like the way that some of the branches were kind of drooping down and touching the ground. It's just a really cool tree. This I drew upside down because I'm a fool. I was going to do Inktober, but I didn't actually end up going all the way through with it. I think the prompt was holly. Actually, I think it took 2 prompts. I think one was witch and one was holly, so I tried to draw both in one. So she's like wearing a sweater and she's like, I guess, cozy on her broomstick in front of the moon. I don't know. It's not... So, we're gonna move on. Okay, so this is another assignment. This one we had to do, how many is this? 4 by 5, 20. We had to do 20 different watercolor sketches of objects in a room. So I'm just gonna go through this really quickly. This is peanut butter. I think that's my cell phone. That's a box of plastic baggies. This is, I get seaweed snacks. This is a seaweed snack pack. This is my deodorant. This is a water bottle. This is my microwave. That is disinfectant wipes. That's the cap of a pen. That's a mechanical pencil. That is shaving cream. That's tissue box. That's my iPad case. I actually don't know. Oh, I think this is my recycling bin. This is a fan. A box of opened popcorn. This is my laptop case. This is, I think, just a binder. I guess this is my roommate's deodorant. I can't really tell. And then I think this is a pillow. Okay. So I actually really like how this turned out. This I did both of these from imagination. This I just wanted to do bark. And then the sky was kind of secondary. Yeah, I was just like playing around with watercolor for this one. I think I only used watercolor in this one, other than like a few, it kind of looks like I did like a pencil sketch before doing it. And then this one is watercolor and acrylic. I did acrylic for like the highlights, like the whites, and then some of the white in the background. I kind of like this one. It's supposed to be, I think it was supposed to be a lot more, like I was trying to do perspective on a tree, like looking up from the base. I feel like it could have been a little more dramatic, but I still like how it turned out. So this was part of an idea for an animation I did later. It didn't turn out exactly like this because we were doing animation by drawing on a piece of paper and taking a picture each time we progressed the image forward. So obviously we couldn't do this much detail in an animation because you'd have to completely erase it and then start over each time, and that would take forever. So it didn't end up complete like this, but I did do a scene similar to this where I had like a goose and like her goslings swim into frame and then swim back out of frame. Here's a frame by frame for an animation that I didn't end up doing. I wanted to like be in the water, then look up the tree's trunk, and then a leaf would fall down onto the camera, and then for some reason a door would open up and a worm would come out. I don't know. I didn't end up doing that at all, but I guess that was an idea. This right here is kind of inspired by Peter Draws. I used Alien script. Most of it's gibberish. I think I started out trying to write real words, but I quickly got bored of that, so I just wrote like nonsense. This is majority nonsense. So I just put watercolor down. I was just messing with watercolor and ink. And then it spread onto the other page, so I ended up doing the same thing on the other page. So this is a bunch of poses. I was just doing pose work on my own. This was an assignment. I like most of them. This one I don't really like. I tried to do a pose in perspective, which is like really difficult because you have to keep in mind both anatomy and perspective. It didn't turn out the best. I guess that's that. Okay. For some reason she reminds me of Scarlett Johansson. I don't know. This is just a bunch of faces. I kind of like this one. It's so sketchy. It doesn't look like something I would draw. I found most of these, I think, on Google Images. But I didn't go into super detail with them. I just kind of wanted to get the idea of someone's face. But I really like that one. Okay. Let's see. So again, I was playing with watercolors. I wanted to do like a person with cool colors and a person with warm colors. My art teacher said she would do periodic sketchbook checks, and she said that she really liked them. I don't think they're the best, but I like the idea, I suppose. Okay, this is a cloud over water. There's a YouTube channel called McClellan, I think, and they do a lot of like rendering for like anime backgrounds and stuff. They do time lapses. They take like images of real life and turn them into anime backgrounds, and they do a lot of this sort of thing where it's like just a really like massive cloud on the horizon. It kind of reminds me of like Studio Ghibli or something. I don't know. I devoted full 2 pages to this, so I guess I thought it was kind of cool. Okay, so this is more faces. This is another Google image that I drew. And then this one was from Imagination. It didn't turn out as well. I basically wanted to do the same lighting scenario on his face as hers, just the opposite direction. And I kind of improvised, but I think he looks a little deformed. I think this is another Google image. This is supposed to be like an abstract rose. I think this page I was covering up something that I had already drawn that I didn't like. So, yeah. I think at some point I was basically just trying to finish the sketchbook, and I was going back through pages and looking at the ones I really didn't like and didn't want to keep in the sketchbook, and decided to cover a lot of those up. This is an ink drawing of just flowers. It's roses in a vase or roses in a bottle. And then this is supposed to be Robin Williams. After I finished it, I kind of noticed he looks a lot like my grandfather. I don't know if I did that subconsciously or if Robin Williams just does look like my grandfather or my granddad. I don't know. I like how this turned out generally. I started out and he had like a really, really big forehead, so I just kept on shrinking it. But then I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it has enough of a likeness that people could recognize it as Robin Williams. So this assignment was about mixing paint. Our teacher had us mix paint and match it to Starburst. So we had to mix it to match both the actual candy, like the little square, and the wrapper. And basically we'd mix a little and then try to work slowly towards the correct color, and each time we'd put a little dot of the color we mixed onto the wrapper and onto the candy, because obviously the candy and the wrapper aren't exactly the same color. So I actually feel like I did a really good job in class, but I was mixing really small quantities of paint. You can kind of see the dots on each of the wrappers. Um, and I got pretty close, but I didn't mix enough to actually do the swatches on the side. So these don't look, I think the red and the pink look pretty much the same, but the yellow did not turn out well because I had to completely remix the yellow to put the swatch in the sketchbook. I just didn't mix enough to actually put it down. This is another Google image face. I was not that happy with it. She gave us an assignment to mix like a bunch of different tones of the same color, so I mixed a bunch of browns. And I didn't actually end up liking the browns that I mixed, so I tried to like make use of them by just drawing random things in here. I don't know. It didn't turn out that well. This is just another face. Oh, this is another Google image. See, Google images can turn out like one of two ways for me. Like they can turn out like this, where it's kind of like, ugh, I don't really like that. Or it can turn out like, I'm pretty proud of this one. So, I don't know. It's just a scary child's face. It's kind of fun. And then this here ended up being my actual version of the color mixing thing. This assignment was inspired by Pantone, the color company. So we had to give names to each of the colors that we mixed. So this is Meadow, Robin Egg, Aether, Blue Raspberry, Ocean City, August, Petrichor, like the smell after rain. That's Sky, this is London, and this is Queen Anne's Lace. Okay, so more faces from Google. It's kind of a running trend in my sketchbook. And then this is actually a picture of my own eyeball. I wanted to do a painting. This is acrylic. That is mostly, I think it has some watercolor on it too. Like I think the eyelashes might be watercolor. I think some of this blue is watercolor. But anyway, I wanted to do a mostly correct skin tone like painting, but mix in some like random colors to make it, I don't know. I really don't. I don't have a very good vocabulary, so you'll have to excuse me. Oh my word. I don't have a very good vocabulary, so you're gonna have to excuse my ineptitudes in explaining what I mean. Okay. So this is preparatory work for an assignment that I did. It ended up looking kind of more like this by the end when I actually made it. Okay. So I think this is from Imagination Random Ink Sketch. This is also from Imagination. This is my attempt to do a convincing lighting scenario on an imagined face, but it didn't turn out very well. This person kind of looks like a goon. I didn't even finish because I got like depressed and moved on. This is kind of cool. Did like a little ink design with my brush pen and my other micron pens. I think this is supposed to be a canal in Venice. Oh, my pages are stuck together. Oof. Hope I didn't ruin anything. So I think this was covering up more stuff that I didn't like. This here, again, I was covering up something I didn't like. I don't really remember what it was. I put down a bunch of white acrylic, and then I used Crayola markers, I believe, to do this face. I kind of like how it turned out. It looks kind of spooky with the white eyeballs. Okay. This is where my sketchbook starts getting better, in my opinion. I started doing sketches with my friends. So this is one of my friends from high school. This is a picture of her at prom. And then this is supposed to be myself at I was asked to do the opening for the art awards ceremony for specifically for visual arts. So I went up and did a few jokes. So I made a sketch of a picture from that night. Obviously, again, I forgot which direction to draw things, so I drew that upside down. This is another friend. These are all friends. Just various pictures of them. Yeah. I like this one. I like how that turned out. This one looks kind of like, I don't know, almost like Disney. Like, it almost looks like a rendered cartoon. She, I feel kind of bad about this one because she looks kind of like bug-eyed. She looks much nicer in real life, I promise. I just failed to get her likeness. I feel kind of bad with this one, but... Oh, and then this one's me. This is my profile picture and, like, everything. I really like how it turned out. I took just a lot of time drawing this. I actually have a TikTok of, like, the progression of how this drawing went along. My TikTok is Ethesia, spelled the same way as this YouTube channel. And then I think this is probably covering up something, but I don't know. It's like a wizard or something. This is preparatory work for another assignment for my Art 110 class. I wanted to do, the assignment was to make a rendering of a fairy tale, and the image was supposed to represent the whole story in one frame. So I had a few different ideas for this. This is based off the Ice Maiden, which is a portion of a story from, I think, from Hans Christian Andersen. So in this thumbnail, the train is leaving the mountain and she's pointing at it. In this one, you're behind her head and she's looking down at the train. And in this one, it's a hand coming up from the water and the train's going over on the ice and it's about to, like, close in on the train. I ended up going with this design. It's kind of a mixture of the hand and her looking down on the train. In the story of the Ice Maiden, it talks about, I believe it's people hiking in the mountains, and the whole point of the story is that humans live off ingenuity and they invent things to make their life easier, but regardless of how much we invent and how much we progress, regardless of how much we progress, nature is always stronger and it can always defeat us. So in the actual story, I believe it's hikers going up the mountain and the Ice Maiden sends an avalanche to defeat them. But it used the metaphor, or it used the word train in the story, so I decided to do a literal train. So this is kind of like a more close version of how I want her profile to look, and then this is a drawing of how I want the train to look. So the final image did end up looking something like this, where she was kind of like casting a spell, like an ice hand, to come out of the water. So it wasn't actually her grabbing the train. I'm probably over-explaining this, but anyway, yeah. These are some drawings from the zoo. That's a rhino, hippo, giraffe, antelope. This one was actually from Google. I just needed to fill the page. But the rhino, I'm pretty happy with the way the rhino turned out. I like the values. This is an orangutan from the same zoo trip. He walked around with a bucket on his head, and I found it very compelling. This is me trying to learn how to do fisheye perspective. I still don't really know how to do it, but I tried. This is a turtle from Imagination. This is me practicing 2 different ways of doing posing. This is alright. I don't know. This I did with Crayola markers. Crayola markers actually blend more than you'd think. You can kind of like rub them into each other. You can only really blend like towards a lighter value. Like, for example, here, from red to orange to yellow, or from black to blue. It's kind of difficult to, or from blue to green to yellow. It's kind of difficult to blend other colors, but you can still get a pretty cool blended effect by using Crayola markers. This is just some more sketches, or some more poses. I have a TikTok of this, again on my TikTok, Ethesia. It's just a woman looking into a mirror. This is supposed to be based off MXM Tunes prom dress. I was gonna make a more detailed image with a background, but I kind of stopped there. This is a bust. These are some poses from imagination. I really like the way this one turned out for some reason. And this one. Okay, so this is for an assignment in my 3D class. I ended up carving like 6 pine cones and giving them away to people and telling them that it was their job. I was entrusting them to protect the pine cone. So I did kind of make a statement about like environmentalism. Yes. So I guess that was the project. And then this is another sketch. This is based off a Bob Ross figurine I have. It's kind of creepy. I think again I was covering up 2 different images that I didn't particularly like. This is just kind of like a landscape, but in like ridiculous bright colors. I didn't end up completing whatever this was. See, some pages are just flops, and I think we have to accept that in life. Not every sketchbook page can be perfect. Sometimes you just have to move on. I think that's the lesson I've taken away from completing this one. This is a beach that I didn't complete. This is my friend's hamster. So cute. This is another self-portrait, but it kind of turned out a lot more booty than the first one. This is a bunch of figures, and then I really like this one. This is another Crayola marker, facial sketch of a face. This is another self-portrait. I ended up doing a lot of self-portraits because I kind of doing drawings from Google search all the time, Google Images, is kind of creatively stunting because it kind of forces you to go with whatever already exists and to draw what's probably already been drawn a million times. So if you can take your own reference, I recommend it. But that kind of results in you being able to only take pictures of whatever's around you. And in this case, I took a lot of pictures of myself to do reference. But take pictures of your friends, draw whatever you can, make it significant and relevant and special to you, then you'll probably care about it more than versus going on Google and picking any random image. This is another attempt to do. I'm still really just figuring out poses. This is another drawing of a friend. This is another Crayola face. And this is my friend's child. He is adorable. I have a TikTok of this one as well. The page keeps turning. He is so cute. And this is a picture I started drawing of my mother, but I never finished. And then this is the final page. So this was an assignment. We had to collect a bunch of paper and make a collage out of it, or a bunch of like paper products. So I had like pencil shavings, like the protector or like the advertisement inside a Scotch roll of tape. This is from a book that I bought for a class. This is from actually from the sketchbook. When I got it, they gave you a sticker. Or is this from? I think someone might give me the sticker. This is from really early on in the semester. I drew this in one of my notes and I ripped it out because I liked the way it turned out. It's like a creepy like demon chameleon. But anyway, that's sketchbook. This is probably my favorite page in the sketchbook, just because I think it turned out really well. Anyway, so that's that. Thank you for watching. My Instagram and my TikTok are both Ethisha. I think my Instagram and TikTok both have 2 underscores following the word Ethisha. And if you're on my YouTube channel, you obviously know where my YouTube channel is. Please like and subscribe. I don't know how much more content I'll be making, if any. I'll probably post more, just not that frequently. Don't expect frequent uploads. But anyway, I really hope you enjoyed. Thank you for coming with me on the sketchbook tour, and I guess that's it. Bye.